Okay, let's just dive right in. Auctions. The word itself can make people feel, well, a bit stressed out, can't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's this high-stakes environment, lots of pressure. Many people find it pretty daunting.
Yeah, definitely. But what if you could go in not just hoping for the best, but actually having like a strategic edge?
That's exactly what we're looking at today. We're really unpacking some practical tactics for winning at house auctions.
And the insights, they're not just theory, right? This comes from someone who actually did it.
Yeah, precisely. It's based on the experience of someone who went through an Auckland auction back in September 2024, and they were successful.
Successful is putting it mildly. Get this. They managed to buy the place for what, almost 16% below its official valuation?
15.6% below CV. Yeah. It's pretty remarkable. So our source is sharing, their personal journey, what they learned from going to loads of auctions, talking to agents.
And how it all came together for that win. So it's clearly not just about having the deepest pockets.
Not at all. And what's really valuable here, I think, is the focus on the practical steps, the
Yeah.
actionable stuff, and the psychology of it all.
Right. It's not just here's how an auction works. It's more here's how to prepare, how to bid smart, how to handle the nerves.
Exactly. How to manage that intensity.
So for everyone listening, our mission here is to give you a kind of roadmap, auction prep, bidding strategies, whether you've done this before or you're totally new.
Yeah, we want to equip you with tactics that could give you a genuine advantage.
Make you feel more confident, help you avoid paying too much, and maybe, just maybe, increase your chances of getting that place you really want.
Sounds good. Where do we start? Preparation.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Starting with the prep weeks, even months before the actual auction day.
Okay, so the first big takeaway from our source is about market immersion, getting yourself really familiar with the local scene.
Weeks in advance.
Yeah, well, in advance.
Yeah.
They strongly suggest attending several auctions right in the suburb you're targeting, and go with your buying partner if you have one.
So it's not just about looking at houses online.
No, it's about feeling the atmosphere, seeing how other bidders behave, noticing the different auctioneers' styles. It's like getting familiar with the pitch before the big game starts.
Yeah, I get that. You develop a sort of intuition, right? A feel for the market you just can't get from a website.
Exactly. Then, as you get closer, maybe just days before the auction, the focus shifts. It gets more specific.
To the really detailed stuff, the due diligence.
Absolutely. This part is critical. Our source really hammers home the need for all the standard checks, the building inspection.
Find any hidden nasties.
Right. Getting the limb report from the council, checking the title, having your lawyer look over the sale and purchase agreement.
The big ones, finance and insurance, all locked in.
Definitely. Those have to be sorted. But then they add this other layer, which is really interesting. It's about data.
Ah, yes. Using data to get an edge. They mentioned a specific tool.
They did, yeah, relab.co.nz. They found it really helpful for in-depth market research. It does have a cost, about $68 a month, they said, but for them, the insight was absolutely worth it.
Okay, so you've got the tool. How do they actually use that data? That's the clever bit, isn't it?
It really is. This brings us to what they call the key table. We actually have a photo of it in the source notes. It's all about building this robust price comparison against the property's CV, the capital value.
Which is the official council valuation, basically.
Exactly. So what they did was gather all sorts of value estimates from RANZ, QV, One Roof, Homes.co.nz, and plotted them on this table. Low, middle, high ranges if they were available.
So like a whole spectrum of valuations in one spot.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just those general estimates, was it?
No, and this is crucial. They also tracked down recent sales of comparable properties, like
Yeah.
really similar places nearby.
Okay, and they noted the sale price and the date. Standard enough.
Right, but here's the twist. They didn't just look at the sale price. They worked out how much that sale price was above or below that property's CV at the time it sold.
Oh, I see. So if a similar house with a $1 million CV sold for $950K, that's 5% below, they'd record that minus 5%.
Precisely. They did that for several comparable sales. And suddenly you start seeing a pattern. You see what similar homes are actually fetching relative to their official value.
That makes so much sense. It normalizes the data, doesn't it? Compares apples with apples, using the CV as a benchmark.
Exactly. Much more meaningful than just raw sale prices. They also threw in the average sale price for the whole suburb relative to CV, using data from places like One Roof.
So the more data points you add,
The clearer the picture becomes. You get a much more objective handle on what's cheap, what's fair, what's expensive for that specific property. It takes the emotion out, builds real bidding confidence.
anchoring your price in facts, not just feelings. Okay, fast forward. It's the night before the auction. Nerves are probably kicking in.
Definitely. And this is when two absolutely vital decisions get locked down. First, and maybe the most important, the stop bidding number.
Your absolute maximal, the walkaway price.
Yes, agreed with your partner, non-negotiable. You can even see in photo one they initialed their limit on the table. It's based on all that data work.
And the source emphasizes this should be the price where if it goes higher, you can genuinely walk away smiling, knowing it was just too much for you.
That's the idea, your walk-away smiling number. And they even suggest being a bit discreet about it, maybe text it to your partner rather than writing it down where someone might see it. It's your secret weapon, almost.
Keep it close to your chest. Okay, what's the second task for the night before? Something called the issues list.
Yeah, photo 2 shows this. It's basically making a detailed list of everything that's not perfect about the property.
Like all its flaws.
Pretty much. Anything that needs fixing or updating or just isn't ideal. Old roof, dodgy plumbing, dated kitchen, cracks, lack of insulation, whatever you noticed.
Okay, why do that? Seems
Yeah.
a bit negative the night before.
Well, it serves two key purposes. First, it keeps your valuation grounded. It reminds you of the potential future costs. Second, and this is clever, it can actually be used later if you end up negotiating.
Potential leverage. Got it.
Yeah.
So you're armed with your number and your list of flaws. Auction day arrives. Any pregame rituals?
A couple of things. Our source recommends calling the agent that morning,
What for?
just to let them know you'll be bidding in person. And also ask where the property sits in the auction order, its lot number.
Does the order matter much?
Well, they noticed a slight trend sometimes for earlier lots to get more buzz, but they stress it shouldn't really change your strategy. Your numbers are your numbers.
Makes sense. And then there was something about psychological prep, like what you wear.
Yeah, it sounds minor, but dressing in a way that makes you feel good, comfortable, confident, maybe wearing something sentimental like a watch or jewelry. It's about getting your mindset right, putting on your game face.
Right, feeling composed. Okay, so you arrive at the venue maybe 10 minutes early. What now?
First up, find the agent. Have a casual chat, but with a purpose.
What info are you trying to get?
Key things. How many bidders are registered? Can they maybe subtly point out who else is likely bidding, both in the room and on the phone?
Really? Asking them to point out the competition.
Well, subtly. You also want to know where the sellers are located, and crucially, where's the negotiation room if it gets passed in?
Okay, gathering intel on the environment. Knowing the layout, the players.
Exactly. And there's a nice touch suggested for when you finish talking to the agent, even if you don't win.
What's that?
Just congratulate them on their campaign, say you'll keep in touch for other properties, leaves a good impression. Oh, and tell them you'll be sitting up front and won't need their help. Bidding shows you're serious and prepared.
Right, signals intent. Which leads nicely into actually being in the room. Establishing your presence.
Yeah. Don't just lurk in the corner. Walk around a bit, use the loo, grab some water, settle in, feel comfortable.
And interact with others.
Make some relaxed eye contact with other potential bidders, maybe a little nod or smile. Our source found many people avoid eye contact, which is interesting in itself. And maybe even subtly mirror the body language of the agents. They usually look pretty confident.
Okay. And then the seating strategy. This was quite specific, wasn't it? Taking a front row seat.
Yes. Placing the property flyer on a seat right at the front, clear view of the auctioneer. It's unconventional. Most people hang back.
Why do that?
The idea is to make it feel like the main event is between you and the auctioneer. Because you know your limit, other bidders are less of a distraction mentally. Plus, being up front might command a bit more of the auctioneer's focus.
Interesting psychology. And even trying to connect with the auctioneer beforehand.
Just briefly. Make eye contact, smile, maybe a quick morning if there's a chance. Humanize it a little. Make yourself known. And while waiting, watch the auctioneer notice their rhythm, the bidding increments they use, how fast the screen updates. Get a feel for their style.
Okay. Preparation complete. The moment arrives, bidding starts for your property. How do you play it?
Right. You've got your data table handy, pen ready. Key things. Be physically and verbally assertive. Hand up high and clear. Bid loudly and confidently. Make sure they hear you.
No mumbling. And the opening bid. What's the strategy there?
They suggest opening around half of your stop bidding number, maybe a round figure near that. And importantly, if someone else opens first, jump in immediately with the second bid.
Why jump in so fast?
The goal is to try and hold the bid as much as possible. Be reflexive. Someone bids, you bid straight back. Loud, clear, hand up, eye contact with the auctioneer. No hesitation. project decisiveness.
Even if that makes the price climb quickly at the start.
Yes, because you've done the prep, you know your value range. A fast pace shouldn't phase you. Now here's a slightly counterintuitive tactic for when things slow down or people are just adding tiny bids.
What, instead of just matching the small increase?
Exactly. Instead of just adding another 1,000, suddenly make a much bigger jump.
Go big, like really big.
Well, significantly bigger than the last increment. Maybe double or triple it. The idea is to project serious financial strength, like you have deep pockets. It can potentially psych out others, make them rethink, engaging in a long, slow grind of tiny bids.
Throw them off their rhythm.
Precisely.
Right.
Because you know your absolute limit, you can afford to make these bold jumps below that point. You want to avoid that slow, drawn-out battle where emotions creep in and people overpay bit by bit.
So if someone bids $5K, you might immediately hit back with $10 or $15K. Fast, confident. Okay. But what if, despite all this, you're the highest bidder, but it doesn't hit reserve or it gets passed in? The side room negotiation looms.
Right. This is a different phase. You might get invited into a private room. Our source describes it as facing a new dynamic. The auctioneer is now more directly focused on bridging the gap between your bid and what the seller wants.
And it can feel quite pressured, designed to get you to offer more.
Potentially, yes. Their objective is clear. Get the highest possible increase from you. Your objective. Pay the absolute minimum extra needed to seal the deal and stop it going back to auction or onto the open market.
So how do you handle that negotiation? Any specific tactics from the source here? Referencing photo 2 again?
Yes. First, take a breath and quickly jot down some key numbers. What was the last bid from someone else? What was your last bid? Maybe brainstorm a few potential negotiation figures. You see examples like $1,005,000, $1,015,000 in the photo. Also, notes about time, maybe using time pressure. And remember that issues list.
Ah, the list of flaws.
Now's the time to potentially use it. Not aggressively, but you can subtly bring up those identified shortcomings, the roof needing work, the old wiring, as reasons why you're hesitant to stretch much further financially.
It's a calm reminder of the property's realities and the costs involved.
Yeah.
Reinforces your position.
Exactly. It gives you leverage, grounds the negotiation in the property's actual condition.
Okay, wow. That's a comprehensive journey from weeks out right through to potentially haggling in a side room. If we had to boil it all down, what are the absolute core messages here?
I think the main thing is that auction success isn't just about having the most money. It's heavily influenced by preparation, understanding the data, setting firm limits you actually stick to.
And then using confident, smart tactics during the auction itself.
Yeah. The groundwork and the psychology, they're huge factors. Our source clearly proved that.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? We've talked about all these psychological tactics for house auctions. But how could these same ideas apply elsewhere?
What do you mean?
Well, the power of doing your homework, communicating confidently, understanding the other side's position. Surely those principles work in lots of negotiations, right? Salary discussions, buying a car, maybe even sorting out disagreements.
That's a really interesting thought, taking these auction strategies and applying them more broadly. The core elements, prep, confidence, strategy, they probably are transferable, something for listeners to definitely mull over.
Yeah, how that preparation and confidence could help achieve goals in all sorts of areas.
Absolutely. And, while our source cheekily included their bank details, hinting at the value of the advice, the real value is that feeling of control you get from being prepared and strategic.
Couldn't agree more. A great place to leave it for this deep dive. We'll definitely keep an eye out for any related resources or future explorations on this.
Sounds good. Until next time.